When billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk pulled into a McDonald's drive-thru one busy afternoon, he expected a quick meal between meetings. What he didn't expect was to recognize the tired face at the window. Darren Rise, once one of Tesla's most brilliant battery engineers. How did a gifted innovator end up serving fast food? And what would Elon do when he discovered the heartbreaking truth behind Darren's fall from grace? In a world that often discards talent at the first sign of trouble, sometimes it takes just one person willing to look deeper to see the potential others miss. What follows is not just a story of second chances, but a powerful reminder that our greatest innovations might come from the places and people we least expect. Elon Musk tapped his fingers on the steering wheel of his car. Traffic was bad, and he was hungry. 3 meetings down, 2 more to go. His stomach growled. The big McDonald's sign ahead looked like a golden invitation. Why not? He muttered to himself. He hadn't had fast food in months. Elon pulled into the drive-thru lane and waited. His phone buzzed with messages from the Tesla factory, but for once, he ignored them. Just 5 minutes to get a burger and fries, that's all he needed. When he reached the ordering screen, it flickered and went black. "Sorry about that," called a voice from the speaker. "Our system keeps crashing today. Give me 1 second." Elon waited, checking his watch. The screen flickered back to life 30 seconds later. "That was fast," Elon said, impressed despite himself. "Just a quick reboot and code patch," the voice said. "What can I get for you today?" Something about the way the worker said code patch caught Elon's attention. That wasn't typical fast food worker talk. He ordered a burger and drove to the payment window. The young man at the window had dark circles under his eyes and a name tag that read, Darren. He looked to be in his early 30s with a tired smile that didn't reach his eyes. "That'll be $8.79, Darren said, holding out the card reader. As Elon handed over his credit card, he noticed a small notebook sticking out of Darren's pocket. Complex drawings peeked out from the edges. They looked like battery schematics. Elon squinted. There was something familiar about this man. The card machine beeped and went black. "Not again," Darren sighed. Instead of calling for help, he pulled out the machine, flipped it over, and quickly opened a panel on the back. His fingers moved with practiced precision as he reset something inside. That's when it clicked. "Darren Rise?" Elon asked, stunned. The young man looked up, startled. Recognition flashed in his eyes, followed immediately by shame. He quickly looked down. "Your order will be ready at the next window, sir," Darren said formally. "Darren Rise, you worked on the Model S battery cooling system," Elon pressed. "One of our best engineers. What are you doing here?" Darren's supervisor walked past behind him and he flinched. "I need to keep this line moving, Mr. Musk. Please proceed to the next window." His voice was tight. Elon drove forward, his mind racing. Darren Rise had been a rising star at Tesla just 6 months ago. His innovations had helped solve critical problems with battery overheating, and now he was fixing broken card readers at McDonald's. Something was very wrong. Instead of driving away after collecting his food, Elon pulled into a parking spot. He took out his phone and searched through old Tesla emails until he found what he was looking for. 6 months ago, a personnel notice. Darren Rise, employment terminated, no explanation given. Elon frowned. He didn't personally handle every firing, but for an engineer of Darren's caliber, he should have been informed. He sent a quick text to his assistant. "Need info on why Darren Rise left Tesla 6 months ago. Urgent." Through the window, Elon could see Darren working. Even from a distance, it was clear the man was exhausted, but there was also a careful precision to his movements. When the register froze again, Darren fixed it in seconds without even calling a manager. 40 minutes later, Elon was still sitting in his car. He'd canceled his next meetings. Some things were more important. He watched as Darren took off his McDonald's hat and walked toward the bus stop. His shoulders slumped. Elon got out of his car. "Darren," he called. Darren froze, then slowly turned around. Up close, he looked even more tired. "Mr. Musk," he said quietly, "I'm sorry about earlier. I just can't lose this job." "What happened?" Elon asked. "You were doing brilliant work at Tesla." Darren looked down at his worn shoes. "Life happened. I'm sure the report explains it all." "I want to hear it from you," Elon said. "Do you have a few minutes to talk?" Darren checked his watch, conflict clear on his face. "I have to catch the 5:15 bus. My neighbor can only watch Maya until 6. Maya? Elon asked. She's my daughter. She's 7. A flash of love broke through Darren's exhausted expression. I can drive you home, Elon offered. And I'd really like to understand what happened. Darren hesitated, looking at the bus stop, then back at Elon. Why do you care? Tesla has thousands of employees. Because I just watched one of the brightest engineering minds I've ever met fix a card reader at McDonald's, and you had battery designs in that notebook in your pocket, didn't you? Darren's hand automatically went to the small notebook. Just ideas, he mumbled. Old habits. A bus pulled up to the stop. Darren was torn. 20 minutes, Elon said. That's all I'm asking. The bus pulled away. Darren's shoulders slumped again, but he nodded. There's a coffee shop next door, but I can't be late getting home to Maya. As they walked, Elon noticed that Darren's McDonald's uniform was impeccably clean. Despite a long day of work, the man still had his pride. The coffee shop was nearly empty. They sat at a corner table. Darren perched nervously on the edge of his seat. So, Elon said, how does a senior Tesla engineer end up working drive-thru? Darren stared into his coffee cup. It's a long story. I've got time, but Maya doesn't. Darren's voice cracked slightly. Look, Mr. Musk, I appreciate your curiosity, but this doesn't change anything. I made a mistake at Tesla. I paid for it. Now I'm just trying to keep my head above water. What mistake? Elon asked. Your work was exceptional. Darren's eyes flashed with a moment of anger. That's not what the termination letter said. Elon's phone buzzed, a message from his assistant. Reyes termination. Submitted false data on battery test report. Approved by Victor Chambers. Elon frowned. He knew Victor Chambers. The man was technically competent, but deeply insecure. Did you falsify test data? Elon asked directly. Darren's head snapped up. No, I would never. He stopped and took a deep breath. It doesn't matter now. It matters to me, Elon replied. Darren checked his watch again. I need to go. As he stood to leave, the small notebook fell from his pocket. It landed open on the floor, revealing pages of detailed technical drawings. Elon bent to pick it up and couldn't help but look at the designs. They were brilliant innovations on Tesla's existing battery systems with cooling modifications he'd never considered. You've been working on these while at McDonald's? Elon asked, amazed. Darren snatched the notebook back, his face red. Just to keep my mind sharp. Like I said, old habits. Elon made a decision. Let me drive you home, Darren, and on the way you can tell me about these designs and about what really happened at Tesla. Darren looked at him for a long moment, weighing his options. Maya needs dinner soon, he said finally. We'll pick something up, Elon promised. For the first time, a genuine smile flickered across Darren's face. Okay, he said, but I warn you, it's not a happy story. As they walked to the car, Elon felt a strange certainty that this unexpected detour was more important than any meeting he'd canceled today. Sometimes the most significant discoveries happened when you least expected them. Elon's sleek car felt out of place in Darren's neighborhood. Small apartment buildings lined the streets, many with peeling paint. Children played on a rusty playground nearby. Third building on the right, Darren directed, pointing to a faded blue complex. Elon parked, and Darren fidgeted with his McDonald's name tag, finally unpinning it and slipping it into his pocket. We picked up chicken nuggets from Maya, Darren said. But I should warn you, my place isn't much. The apartment was on the second floor. Before Darren could unlock the door, it swung open. An older woman with gray hair stood there, looking worried. You're late, Darren. Maya's been asking. She stopped when she saw Elon. Sorry, Mrs. Guzman. This is a former colleague. He gave me a ride home. Darren handed her a $5 bill. Thanks for watching, Maya. How was she today? Tired after her treatment, but she perked up around 4. She's been coloring. Mrs. Guzman took the money reluctantly. You know I don't need this. Please, Darren insisted. You're already doing too much. After Mrs. Guzman left, Darren led Elon into a tiny living room. A small table was covered with crayons and paper. A girl's voice called from the next room. Daddy, is that you? Yes, sweetie, and I brought dinner. Darren's entire demeanor changed, his voice brightening. Come say hello, we have a visitor. A thin girl with dark hair appeared in the doorway. She wore pajamas with rocket ships on them, and a colorful scarf was wrapped around her head. Her face lit up when she saw her father, but she shyly studied Elon. Maya, this is Mr. Musk. He knew me from my old job. Maya's eyes widened. The space rocket man. Daddy has your picture in his folder. Darren's face reddened. Maya, Elon smiled and knelt down to Maya's level. It's very nice to meet you, Maya. I brought chicken nuggets. I hope that's okay. Dinosaur ones? She asked hopefully. The very best kind, Elon confirmed, holding up the bag. During dinner at their small kitchen table, Maya chattered about her day. She'd been to the hospital for medicine that makes me tired, but afterward, she had worked on a special drawing. Elon noticed Darren watching his daughter with a mixture of love and worry. After Maya had eaten, Darren said, "Sweetie, why don't you watch your show while I talk with Mr. Musk?" Once Maya was settled in front of the TV, Darren sank onto the couch. He looked even more exhausted at home than he had at work 6 months ago. 6 months ago, he began without prompting, Maya was diagnosed with a rare type of leukemia. Elon's face softened. "I'm sorry. The doctors are hopeful, but the treatment is expensive, even with insurance." Darren rubbed his eyes. At the same time, I was working on the new cooling system for the Model S batteries. The project was behind schedule, and everyone was stressed. Darren stared at his hands. My supervisor, Victor Chambers, was pressuring the team for results. The preliminary tests weren't meeting expectations. He called me into his office one Friday and told me to fix the numbers for the Monday meeting with senior management. "Did you?" Elon asked quietly. "No," Darren said firmly. "I told him I needed the weekend to run more tests. I worked all weekend, barely slept. My wife," he stopped. My ex-wife was furious. She was already struggling with Maya's diagnosis. Darren got up and went to a drawer, pulling out a folder from it. He took a worn paper and handed it to Elon. "This is my original report. I found a genuine solution that weekend. The tests were promising." Elon scanned the document. The data looked solid. "But that's not what was presented on Monday," Darren continued. "I emailed this report to Victor Sunday night. When I arrived at work Monday morning, I was called to HR. They showed me a different version of my report with obviously manipulated data. Victor claimed I'd sent it to him." "No one checked your email records?" Elon asked, frowning. Victor told them I'd confessed to him privately about falsifying data because I was distracted by my daughter's illness. Given my emotional state at the time, they believed him. Darren's voice was bitter. "I was fired on the spot, no severance, and suddenly I had no health insurance for Maya's treatments." Elon's jaw tightened. "Why didn't you fight it? Contact someone higher up?" Darren gestured around the apartment. "Maya needed me. Her treatments couldn't wait. My wife, she was already talking about leaving. She couldn't handle the stress of a sick child. 2 weeks after I was fired, she was gone." He swallowed hard. "I didn't have time to fight a giant company. I needed a job, any job, immediately. McDonald's was hiring. The manager took pity on me and gave me flexible hours around Maya's treatments." In the other room, Maya coughed. Darren immediately stood up. "I should check on her." He returned a moment later. "She gets tired easily." "And your wife?" Elon asked gently. "Moved to Phoenix with her sister. She calls Maya sometimes." Darren's voice was carefully neutral. "It's just us now." Elon looked around the apartment. Despite its size, it was meticulously clean. A calendar on the wall was covered with medical appointments. A basket of medications sat on the counter. "The notebook," Elon said. "You're still designing?" Darren shrugged. "It keeps me sane. When Maya's asleep or at treatment, I work on ideas, just theoretical stuff now." But he trailed off. "But you miss the real work," Elon finished. "I miss making things that matter," Darren corrected. "But Maya matters more, and right now, McDonald's pays our rent." Maya appeared in the doorway, looking sleepy. "Daddy, I'm tired." "Of course, sweetheart." Darren stood, giving Elon an apologetic look. "It's past her bedtime." "I should go," Elon said, rising. "Thank you for sharing your story." "Not sure why you wanted to hear it," Darren said. "It doesn't change anything." Elon watched as Darren lifted Maya gently, her small arms wrapping around his neck. The contrast between this caring father and the defeated man in the McDonald's uniform was striking. "Good night, Mr. Space Rocket Man," Maya called over her father's shoulder. "Good night, Maya," Elon replied softly as Darren carried his daughter to bed. Elon noticed a drawing on the table. It showed what looked like a car with a smiling sun over it. In a child's handwriting, it said, "Daddy's car that doesn't need gas." Elon carefully folded the original report and put it in his pocket. Outside, in his car, he made a phone call. Cancel my meetings tomorrow, he told his assistant, and find out everything you can about Victor Chambers. Everything. The luxury car felt different now as Elon drove away from the small apartment building. He couldn't stop thinking about the brilliant engineer putting his daughter to bed, the notebook full of innovations that might never be built, and the McDonald's hat stuffed in a pocket. Some falls weren't about failure at all. Sometimes they were about the strength it took to keep going when everything fell apart. The next evening, Elon's car pulled up outside the McDonald's just as Darren's shift was ending. Darren stepped outside, surprised to see the familiar vehicle. "Mr. Musk," he asked, approaching cautiously, "what are you doing here?" "I thought we could talk more," Elon said. "Is Maya with her neighbor again?" Darren nodded. "Mrs. Guzman picks her up from her afternoon treatment on Tuesdays. I have until 8 tonight." "Perfect. Join me for dinner." "Not here," Elon added with a small smile, "somewhere quieter." 20 minutes later, they sat in a corner booth of a small diner. Darren looked uncomfortable in his McDonald's uniform across from Elon's expensive suit. "I could have changed first," Darren said, tugging at his collar. "Food is more important," Elon replied, pushing a menu toward him. "Order whatever you want." After they ordered, an awkward silence fell. Darren finally broke it. "Why are you doing this, Mr. Musk? I appreciate the dinner." "Call me Elon, and I'm doing this because I've been looking into your situation." Darren tensed. "I'm not looking for charity." "Good, because that's not what I'm offering." Elon leaned forward. "I reviewed your original report, the one you gave me yesterday. It's excellent work." "It doesn't matter now." "It matters to me," Elon's voice was firm. "Tesla lost a brilliant engineer because of what appears to be deliberate sabotage." Darren looked down at the table. "Even if that's true, it's in the past. I have other priorities now." "Maya," Elon said softly, "her treatments are working, but they're expensive. She needs stability." Darren's eyes met Elon's. "I can't risk anything that might jeopardize that." Their food arrived, and Darren ate hungrily. Elon realized the man probably skipped meals to save money. "Tell me about your notebook," Elon said. "The designs I glimpsed yesterday looked interesting." For the first time, a spark lit in Darren's eyes. He hesitated, then pulled the worn notebook from his pocket. "It's just ideas," he said. "Things I think about during slow periods at work." Elon took the notebook and began to flip through it. Page after page was filled with detailed technical drawings, calculations, and notes. Most focused on battery cooling systems, but others explored efficiency improvements for various Tesla components. "You did all this while working at McDonald's?" Elon asked, amazed. Darren shrugged. "The French fryer gives me time to think." One design particularly caught Elon's attention: a new configuration for cooling channels that could potentially reduce battery temperature by 18%. "This could solve our overheating issue on the new model," Elon said, tapping the page. "Have you run simulations?" "Just in my head," Darren said with a sad smile. "I don't exactly have access to Tesla's software anymore." Elon continued flipping through the notebook, occasionally asking questions as Darren explained his ideas. His entire demeanor changed. His voice grew animated, his hands moving as he described how the systems would work. This was the real Darren, the engineer, the innovator. "Why batteries?" Elon asked. "Why do you care so much about this technology?" Darren looked surprised by the question. "Because it matters. Better batteries mean better electric cars. Better electric cars mean less pollution." He glanced down. "Maya has enough health problems without dirty air making things worse." The simple answer struck Elon. Darren wasn't just doing a job, he believed in the mission. "What would you do if you could come back to Tesla?" Elon asked suddenly. Darren stiffened. "That's not possible." "Hypothetically?" Darren was quiet for a moment. "I'd finish what I started. The cooling system could be 30% more efficient with the right design tweaks." He tapped a page in his notebook. "And I have ideas for the manufacturing process that could cut costs. Even after everything that happened, you'd want to come back?" "It was never about the company," Darren said. "It was about the work, creating something that matters." His expression darkened. "But Victor would never allow it. Victor doesn't make all the decisions at Tesla," Elon said carefully. Hope flickered across Darren's face, then died. "Mr. Musk, Elon, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but my life is different now. I have Maya to think about." "And how will you pay for her treatments on a McDonald's salary?" Darren flinched. I'm getting by. Are you? I have to. Darren's voice was firm. For her, Elon studied the man across from him. Tired, proud, brilliant, and broken all at once. Need to pick up Maya soon, Darren said, checking his watch. Of course. Elon handed back the notebook. Thank you for showing me your work. As they walked to the car, Darren seemed lost in thought. Can I ask you something? He finally said. Anything. Why does this matter to you? Tesla employs thousands of people. You're busy running multiple companies. Why care about one fired engineer? Elon was quiet for a moment. Because talent like yours is rare and because injustice bothers me. He paused. And maybe because everyone deserves a second chance. During the drive to pick up Maya, Darren gazed out the window. I miss it, he confessed quietly. The work. The purpose. I know, Elon said, and in that simple exchange, something shifted between them. A bridge of understanding formed, one that would change both their lives in ways neither could yet imagine. The next morning, Elon sat in his office at Tesla headquarters, staring at the original report Darren had given him. He compared it to the falsified version in the company records. The differences were subtle but significant. Someone with technical knowledge had carefully altered the test results to make Darren look incompetent. Elon's assistant, Caitlin, knocked on his door. You asked for the complete file on Darren Reyes, she said, placing a folder on his desk. And Victor Chambers. Do you have that too? She nodded and set down a second, thicker folder. I also pulled the emails between them from our server archives as requested. Thank you. I need 2 hours without interruptions. After she left, Elon dove into the files. Darren's employment record was spotless until the sudden termination. Performance reviews described him as innovative, dedicated, and a key talent. In contrast, Victor's file showed a manager who was competent, but had received multiple notes about his difficulty sharing credit and his competitive approach to team management. The emails told an even more interesting story. In the weeks before Darren's firing, Victor had grown increasingly hostile. Darren's innovations were gaining attention from upper management, and Victor clearly felt threatened. Then Elon found it, the smoking gun. An email from Victor to the HR director sent the Sunday night before Darren was fired. I regret to report that Darren Reyes has submitted falsified test data. Given his family situation, I recommend immediate termination rather than a lengthy investigation, which would only prolong his suffering. I've attached the evidence. This email was sent hours after Darren had submitted his actual report. Victor had moved quickly to frame Darren before anyone could see the real data. Elon leaned back in his chair, anger building. He picked up his phone. Caitlin, find out who's currently overseeing battery development. I need a meeting today. 30 minutes later, Elon sat across from Lin Chen, the current battery division director. We haven't met before, Elon said. You took over after Victor Chambers was promoted. Lin nodded. 6 months ago. Victor moved to the new German factory. Elon slid the original report across the desk. Are you familiar with this cooling system design? Lin studied it with widening eyes. This looks like the solution we've been searching for. Where did you get this from? Its original creator, Darren Reyes. Lin's expression changed. The engineer who was fired for falsifying data? But this looks legitimate. It is. Victor Chambers altered Darren's work and framed him. Elon explained what he'd discovered. Lin looked troubled. That's disturbing. But why bring this to me? Because I'm considering bringing Darren back to Tesla, and he would work in your division. Rehire someone who was fired for misconduct? That would violate company policy, Lin said carefully. The misconduct never happened, and company policies can change. Lin studied the report again. This design, we've been stuck on this problem for months. If he could actually implement this, he can, and he has more ideas. Elon tapped his finger on the desk. But I need to know if you would support his return. Professionally? Absolutely. His technical skills would be valuable. Lin hesitated. But there's the team to consider. Victor still has allies here who believe Darren was justly fired. Let me worry about that, Elon said. Thank you for your candor. As Lin left, Elon called HR and legal into a meeting. For the next hour, they discussed the ramifications of Darren's situation. The HR director was defensive. We followed standard procedures based on the evidence presented, she insisted. Evidence that was falsified, Elon countered, showing her the comparison of reports. Victor Chambers manipulated you into firing one of our best engineers. Even if that's true, rehiring a terminated employee creates precedent, argued the legal counsel. Only if they were framed by a jealous supervisor, Elon replied dryly. The debate continued until Elon finally stood up. This isn't actually a discussion, it's a notification. I'm rectifying a mistake that cost this company a valuable asset and nearly destroyed a man's life. The only question is how we handle it. After they left, looking unhappy, Elon stared out the window. One more piece needed attention. Victor Chambers was in Germany. But he answered his video call promptly. Mr. Musk, Victor looked surprised and nervous. This is unexpected, he said. I've been reviewing some old projects, Elon said casually. The battery cooling system from last year. Interesting work. Victor shifted uncomfortably. Yes, a challenging project. We eventually solved it after firing the engineer who actually solved it. Victor's face drained of color. I'm not sure what you mean. Darren Rise, Elon held up the original reports. I have his actual submission, and then I have the version you doctored to get him fired. That's absurd. I would never. I also have your emails planning it and the metadata showing when you altered the files. Elon's voice was cold. The only thing I don't have is your explanation. Victor swallowed hard. It was a difficult time. Deadlines were tight. Reyes was distracted with his personal problems. So you destroyed his career? I made a judgment call for the good of the company, Victor said stiffly. No, you were threatened by someone smarter than you, so you got rid of him. Elon leaned closer to the screen. Here's what happens next. You're going to write a full confession and submit your resignation. You can't be serious. One mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate sabotage of a colleague and this company. If you don't resign, I'll fire you publicly and make sure everyone knows why. After ending the call with a shaken Victor, Elon made one final call to Darren. Can you meet tomorrow? There's something important I'd like to discuss. That evening, Elon reviewed all the material again. The company policies, the legal implications, the potential backlash from other managers who feared setting a precedent. It would be easier to just offer Darren a generous settlement and move on. But then he remembered Maya's drawing. Daddy's car that doesn't need gas. And Darren's words. It was about creating something that matters. Some injustices couldn't be fixed with money. Some required bolder action. As the sun set over the Tesla factory, Elon Musk made his decision, a decision that would soon make headlines around the world. The next morning, Elon sat in his office while his executive team argued around him. This sets a dangerous precedent, said Mira, the head of HR. Every fired employee will think they deserve a second chance, added Jared from legal. This could trigger policy reviews across all divisions. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Another executive chimed in. Elon watched them debate, his fingers tapping on Darren's notebook, which lay open on his desk. The room fell silent when he finally spoke. I didn't call you here for permission, he said quietly. I called you here to inform you of my decision and get your help implementing it. Mira frowned. We're just trying to protect the company. And who protected Darren Rise when he was wrongfully terminated? Elon shot back. Who's protecting his daughter, Maya, who needs medical treatment that her father can barely afford on a McDonald's salary? Elon stood up. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't the easy thing. What exactly are you proposing? Asked Lin Chen, who had been quiet until now. Not just rehiring Darren. I want to create a new position for him, Special Projects Lead in EV battery innovation. He'll report directly to you, Lin, but with autonomy to pursue the ideas in this notebook. Elon tapped the worn pages. And I want to backdate his employment so there's no gap in his health insurance for Maya's treatments. Jared winced. That's pushing legal boundaries. Then find a way to make it legal, Elon replied. That's why Tesla pays you. After more debate, the team reluctantly began working on the details. When they left, Elon stared out the window at the busy factory below. Was he making the right call? The business decision would be to protect company policy and avoid complications. But this wasn't just a business decision. His phone buzzed with a message from Caitlin. Darren Rise is here. Elon found Darren waiting nervously in the lobby, looking out of place in his best shirt, clearly worn but carefully ironed. Thank you for coming, Elon said, leading him to a small conference room away from curious eyes. Your message sounded important, Darren said. Is it about Victor? Partly, Elon sat across from him. I've been investigating what happened 6 months ago. Victor altered your report and framed you. Darren's jaw tightened, but he didn't look surprised. I suspected as much. He's been asked to resign. A flash of satisfaction crossed Darren's face, quickly replaced by weariness. That doesn't change much for me and Maya, but thank you for telling me. Actually, it changes everything. Elon placed a folder on the table. This is a job offer. Darren stared at the folder without touching it. A job offer? At Tesla, special projects lead in battery innovation. You'd report to Lin Chen, but have freedom to pursue your own projects, including the designs in your notebook. Darren's hands trembled slightly as he opened the folder. His eyes widened at the salary figure. This is more than I made before. It matches your value to the company, Elon said simply. The position also includes full health benefits effective immediately for both you and Maya. Darren looked up, his eyes shining with unshed tears. Why would you do this? The company fired me. Policies are meant to serve people, not the other way around, Elon leaned forward. Tesla lost more than it knew when you were fired. This isn't charity, Darren. It's good business. Darren stared at the offer letter, conflict clear on his face. What if I can't deliver? Maya's treatments take time. Some days I'm exhausted just keeping her spirits up. We'll accommodate your schedule, work from home when needed. And if the board disagrees with your decision, Elon smiled slightly, let me worry about the board. Still, Darren hesitated. It seems too good to be true. Second chances often do. Elon's voice softened. Maya deserves a father who can use his full talents, not just survive day to day. And you deserve the chance to build something that matters. Those words, so close to Darren's own, finally broke through. He picked up the pen with a shaking hand and signed the offer letter. I don't know how to thank you, he said quietly. Build amazing things, Elon replied. That's all the thanks I need. As they shook hands, neither man could have predicted how this decision would ripple outward, changing not just their lives, but inspiring countless others around the world. For Elon, it was simply the right thing to do. For Darren, it was the second chance he'd stopped believing was possible. And for Maya, though she didn't know it yet, it was the beginning of a new chapter, one where her father could be both the provider she needed and the innovator he was meant to be. Darren sat on the edge of Maya's bed that evening, his heart racing with excitement and fear. How could he explain this miracle to a 7-year-old? Daddy has some news, sweetie, he began, smoothing her colorful scarf. Maya looked up from her drawing. Good news or bad news? Good news. Very good news. He took a deep breath. Remember Mr. Musk, the space rocket man who brought us dinosaur nuggets? Maya nodded, eagerly. He offered Daddy a job at his car company, the place I used to work before. Maya's eyes widened. The place with the cool cars that don't need gas? That's right, and this job means we won't have to worry so much about money. Your medicine will be easier to get. Maya studied her father's face. For all her youth, she understood more than most adults realized. Will you still take me to the hospital for treatments? Of course I will, Darren said, hugging her. My new boss says I can work from home when you need me. Nothing is more important than you. Will you be happy, Daddy? Maya asked suddenly, like before I got sick? The question caught Darren off guard. Had his daughter been carrying that worry all this time? Maya, he said, kneeling by her bed, I'm always happy when I'm with you. But yes, I'll be even happier doing work that I love. Again, Maya smiled. Then it's super duper good news. That night, after Maya fell asleep, Darren called Mrs. Guzman to share his news. Then he went to the kitchen table and spread out his notebook. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to fully embrace the ideas flowing through his mind, sketching until well past midnight. The next morning, Darren stood outside the Tesla factory, his old employee badge newly reactivated in his zoo, and the familiar building loomed before him, both welcoming and intimidating. You can do this, he whispered to himself. Inside, Lin Chen waited to show him to his new workspace, a small office with a window overlooking the factory floor and a top-of-the-line computer workstation. Elon said you'd need good simulation software for your designs, Lin explained. This has everything you could want. Darren ran his fingertips over the desk, hardly believing this was real. Thank you. The team meeting starts in 30 minutes. I'll introduce you then. Lynn hesitated. I should warn you, not everyone is thrilled about your return. Victor had friends here. Darren nodded, the happiness of the moment dimming slightly. I understand. The team meeting was exactly as uncomfortable as Lynn had warned. Some engineers welcomed Darren warmly, particularly those who had worked directly with him before, but others were cold, avoiding eye contact. A tall woman named Aisha approached him afterward. I heard you got special treatment from Musk himself, she said, her voice carefully neutral. That's quite a comeback. It's not how I wanted to return, Darren admitted, but I'm grateful for the second chance. Just don't expect everyone to roll out the red carpet, she warned. Victor told people you falsified data. Some still believe him. Throughout that first week, Darren felt the weight of suspicious glances and whispered conversations. He focused on his work, diving into the cooling system designs from his notebook, but isolation wore on him. On Friday, he found a note on his desk. Fraud. You don't belong here. That evening, he sat with Maya during her treatment, watching her doze as medication dripped through her IV. His phone buzzed with a message from Elon. How was your first week? Darren hesitated, then typed, honestly challenging. Not everyone thinks I deserve this second chance. Elon's reply came quickly. Winning trust takes time. Let your work speak for itself. The next week was better. Darren presented his cooling system concept at a department meeting. The technical brilliance of his design was undeniable, and even the skeptics looked impressed. Aisha approached him afterward. That configuration could actually work, she admitted. The simulations looked promising. Would you like to help test the prototype? Darren offered. I could use another set of eyes. Slowly, bridges began to form, not with everyone, some remained distant, but enough that Darren no longer felt like a complete outsider. 1 month into his new role, Darren received wonderful news. Maya's doctors reported her cancer was responding well to treatment. Her prognosis was improving. That same day, the first prototype of his cooling system outperformed all expectations in testing. When he shared both pieces of news with Elon, the CEO suggested a celebration. Bring Maya to the factory on Saturday, Elon said. I'll give her a personal tour. Maya's eyes were huge as she walked through the Tesla factory, her butterfly headscarf bright against the industrial backdrop. Employees smiled at her excitement as she marveled at the robots and assembly lines. This is where Daddy makes his ideas come true, Elon told her, holding her small hand. Like magic, Maya whispered. Elon knelt beside her. Not magic, Maya, just human creativity and hard work. Your dad has special talents that help make better cars. I know, Maya said seriously. He fixed our toaster when it broke, and he made my special nightlight that looks like stars. Elon laughed. Exactly. As they toured the facility, Darren noticed something extraordinary. The same employees who had been cold to him were smiling at Maya, asking her questions, showing her how things worked. Through his daughter, barriers were breaking down. At the end of the tour, Elon surprised them both. Maya, I have something for you. He presented her with a small Tesla model car. This is the first car that will use your dad's new cooling system. You helped inspire it. I did? Maya asked, wide-eyed. You did, Elon confirmed, by helping your dad remember what matters most. As they drove home, Maya clutched her model car while Darren reflected on the whirlwind his life had become. From McDonald's to Tesla in just over a month, from despair to hope. Daddy, Maya said sleepily from the back seat, I think Mr. Musk is like a superhero. He fixes things. Darren smiled. Maybe he does, in his own way. What neither Darren nor Maya knew was that Elon's fixing was just beginning, and their story was about to reach far beyond the walls of Tesla. Monday morning brought an unpleasant surprise. When Darren arrived at his office, a small group of employees was gathered around his door, whispering. They scattered when they saw him, but not before he glimpsed what had captured their attention. Taped to his door was a printed article from the company newsletter featuring a photo of Maya's factory tour with Elon. The headline read, Musk's pet project, fired engineer gets special treatment. Darren's stomach nodded as he pulled down the article. The text was worse than the headline, suggesting his return was a publicity stunt and questioning his qualifications. Inside his office, he found an email from Victor to the entire engineering department, sent from his personal account. Colleagues, I feel compelled to warn you about the dangerous precedent being set with Darren Reyes. His return undermines our standards and procedures. Don't be fooled by heartwarming stories. Data doesn't lie. I stand by my original assessment of his work. This is about appeasing a CEO's whim, not technical merit. Darren's hands trembled as he closed the email. All the progress he'd made in the past month felt suddenly fragile. Lin Chen appeared in his doorway, looking concerned. "I've seen the email," she said. "Victor's being spiteful." "It's working," Darren said quietly. "I saw the looks this morning." "Focus on the prototype testing," Lin advised. "Results speak louder than rumors." But throughout the day, Darren felt the change. Conversations stopped when he entered rooms. Lunch invitations disappeared. Even Aisha, who had been warming to him, kept her distance. That evening at Maya's doctor appointment, Darren couldn't focus on the good news about her improving blood counts. His mind kept returning to Victor's email and the article. "Daddy, are you listening?" Maya asked, tugging his sleeve. "Sorry, sweetie. Daddy's just thinking about work." "Is it broken again? Can you fix it like you fixed the toaster?" Darren smiled sadly. If only workplace relationships were as simple as appliance repairs. The next morning, Darren arrived early, determined to push through the discomfort. To his surprise, Elon was waiting in his office. "I saw Victor's email," Elon said without preamble, "and the newsletter piece." Darren sighed. "I'm trying not to let it affect my work." "Good, because I need that prototype perfected for the board presentation next week." Elon fixed him with an intense gaze. "This is your chance to silence the doubters." "No pressure," Darren said with a weak smile. "I wouldn't have brought you back if I didn't believe you could handle it." Elon stood to leave, then paused. "By the way, how's Maya?" "Better. The doctors are cautiously optimistic." Elon nodded. "Children are remarkably resilient. So are engineers who've been knocked down." With that cryptic comment, he left. Inspired by Elon's confidence, Darren threw himself into finalizing the prototype. He worked late every day that week, asking Mrs. Guzman to watch Maya. The cooling system was revolutionary. Simpler, more efficient, and cheaper to manufacture than anything Tesla had tried before. But doubt crept in. What if it failed during the demonstration? What if Victor was right about him? The night before the board presentation, Darren worked until midnight, quadruple checking every detail. He nearly jumped out of his skin when Aisha appeared in his doorway. "You're still here?" she asked, surprised. "Final checks," he explained wearily, uncertain of her motives. Aisha hesitated, then stepped into his office. "I wanted to say I'm sorry about how people have been treating you. Victor has loyalists here, I've noticed. I didn't know him well, but something always seemed off about how he managed people," she said, looking at Darren's designs on the screen. "For what it's worth, this cooling system is brilliant. I checked your math myself. You did it. Engineering isn't about popularity contests. It's about solving problems." She smiled slightly. "And you solved one we've been stuck on for months." That small vote of confidence meant more to Darren than she could know. The board presentation the next day started badly. Several board members looked bored before Darren even began. One was openly scrolling through his phone. But when the results appeared on screen, showing a 27% improvement in cooling efficiency and a 15% reduction in manufacturing costs, the atmosphere shifted. Questions became more engaged. Even the phone scroller put his device away. Elon, watching from the back of the room, gave Darren a subtle nod of approval. After the presentation, a senior board member approached Darren. "Impressive work, young man. Quite a return. From where was it you were before, McDonald's?" Darren tensed, waiting for mockery, but the man continued sincerely. "My son worked at Burger King through college. Good, honest work. But this," he gestured to the prototype, "this is where your talents belong." Walking back to his office, Darren felt lighter than he had in weeks. His phone buzzed with a text from Maya's doctor. Her latest test results showed significant improvement. 2 pieces of good news in one day. Maybe, just maybe, things were turning around. He didn't notice the reporter from the Wall Street Journal being escorted through the building or the way Elon pointed him out from a distance. He didn't know that Victor's angry emails had reached beyond Tesla or that Elon was preparing a public response that would change everything. The real storm and the real opportunity was just beginning. 3 days after Darren's board presentation, an article appeared in the Wall Street Journal with the headline, "From Drive-Through to Driving Innovation, the Engineer Who Got a Second Chance." The article told Darren's story in detail, his unfair dismissal, his struggle as a single father with a sick child, and his chance encounter with Elon Musk at McDonald's. The article ended with a bold quote from Elon: "America talks about second chances, but too often we discard brilliant minds because of office politics or personal circumstances." Darren's story isn't just about one engineer, it's about the talent we waste every day in this country. Darren nearly spilled his coffee when he saw the article. His phone immediately started buzzing with messages from former colleagues and friends. By the time he arrived at Tesla, the entire building was talking about it. Lin Chen was waiting at his office door. "Did you know about this?" Darren shook his head, still in shock. "I had no idea." "Well, you're famous now," Lin said with a wry smile, "and Elon wants to see you immediately." Elon was pacing in his office when Darren arrived. "Good, you're here. I'm assuming you've seen the article." "Yes. Why didn't you tell me about the interview?" "Because I knew you'd worry about the attention," Elon replied. "But your story needed to be told. The article makes you sound like a hero and Victor like a villain." Darren said uncomfortably, "Isn't that exactly what happened?" Elon stopped pacing. "Besides, it's already having an impact. The company's stock is up this morning. People respond to stories about doing the right thing." Before Darren could respond, Elon's assistant interrupted with an urgent message. "The story's been picked up by major news outlets. Several are requesting interviews with both of you." Elon grinned. "See? People care about this." Darren felt overwhelmed. "I just want to focus on my work." "And you will," Elon assured him. "But first, I have a new challenge for you." Elon explained that the board was impressed with Darren's cooling system, but wanted more. They were giving him a critical assignment: solve the persistent efficiency problem with the next generation of batteries, the issue that had stumped the engineering team for months. "If you succeed," Elon said, "no one will ever question your place at Tesla again. You'll have 6 weeks." 6 weeks? Darren's eyes widened. "That's not enough time. It's all the board would give. They're still testing you, Darren." As Darren left Elon's office, his mind raced with the technical complexities of the new assignment. This wasn't just a challenge, it was a test of whether he truly deserved his second chance. The attention from the article created a strange new reality for Darren. Colleagues who had avoided him now sought his opinion. Others seemed resentful of his sudden fame. And a small gift appeared on his desk: a toy McDonald's drive-through set with a note that read, "Don't forget where you came from." That afternoon, Maya's school called. She had a fever and needed to be picked up immediately. Darren found her in the nurse's office, pale and tired. "I don't feel good, Daddy," she whispered. At the hospital, the doctors confirmed what Darren feared. The cancer was fighting back. Maya will need more aggressive treatment starting immediately. "How long will she be hospitalized?" Darren asked, his heart sinking. "At least 2 weeks," the doctor replied. "And she'll need careful monitoring afterward." Just as Darren had received the biggest challenge of his career, Maya needed him more than ever. The timing couldn't have been worse. He called Elon from the hospital to explain the situation. "Take whatever time you need," Elon said immediately. "Family comes first, but the battery project will still be there. We can extend the deadline." But Darren knew the board wouldn't see it that way. This was his chance to prove himself, and he was about to miss it. That night, as Maya slept in her hospital bed, Darren made a decision. He wouldn't choose between being there for his daughter and proving himself at work. Somehow, he would do both. The next morning, Darren arrived at the hospital with his laptop and notebooks. He set up a small workstation beside Maya's bed. While she slept, he worked on battery calculations. When she woke, he read to her and helped her eat. When she napped, he worked on the project. After 3 days of this routine, Darren had a surprise visitor. Aisha appeared in the doorway of Maya's room, carrying a stuffed bear. "Lynn told me where you were," she explained. "The team wanted to send something for Maya." Maya, weak but smiling, he accepted the bear happily. "How are you managing the project?" Aisha asked Darren quietly. He showed her his makeshift workspace. "Not ideal, but I'm making progress," he replied. Aisha studied his notes. You're approaching this from an unusual angle. It's the only way I can see to break through the efficiency barrier. It's interesting, she hesitated. Would you like some help? I could bring your simulation results each day. That was the beginning of an unexpected partnership. Each day, Aisha would visit, bringing Maya small gifts from the Tesla team and sharing technical discussions with Darren. Other team members began to visit too. Mia's hospital room became an impromptu engineering hub. As Maya's second week in the hospital began, she felt strong enough to draw. While the engineers talked, she listened to their conversations, occasionally asking innocent questions that sometimes led to surprising insights. One afternoon, as Darren struggled with a particularly difficult configuration problem, Maya was playing with the building blocks a colleague had brought her. "Daddy, look," she called. "I made a tower that doesn't fall." Darren glanced over, then stopped. Maya had stacked the blocks in an unusual pattern, alternating larger and smaller pieces in a way that distributed weight more efficiently than a standard stack. "Maya," he said slowly, "can I take a picture of your tower?" That night, after Maya fell asleep, Darren worked feverishly. His daughter's innocent block arrangement had triggered a new approach to the battery cell configuration. What if they alternated materials in a similar pattern? It could potentially solve the efficiency problem in an entirely new way. By morning, he had preliminary calculations that looked promising. When Aisha arrived, he showed her the concept. "This could actually work," she said, surprised. "It's completely different from anything we've tried." "My daughter, the engineer," Darren said proudly, watching Maya sleep. Over the next week, as Maya's conditions slowly improved, the new battery design took shape. The team at Tesla built the first prototype based on Darren's specifications, with Aisha overseeing the work. On the day Maya was released from the hospital, Aisha brought news. The initial tests showed a potential efficiency improvement of 23%, far beyond what the board had asked for. Carrying Maya to the car, Darren felt a sense of accomplishment unlike anything he'd experienced before. He had refused to choose between his daughter and his work, and ended up succeeding at both. What he didn't know was that his unorthodox approach to the challenge would soon inspire a change throughout Tesla and beyond. 2 days after Maya came home from the hospital, Darren returned to Tesla for the official testing of his new battery design. The lab was crowded with engineers and several board members. Elon stood to the side, watching quietly. The lead technician explained the test procedure. "We'll run the battery through extreme temperature and stress conditions to see if the efficiency gains hold up." Darren held his breath as the tests began. The first results appeared on the large screen. 22.8% improvement in efficiency. Several people gasped. "These numbers can't be right," one engineer muttered. "Run it again," another said. The second test showed 23.1%. The third, 22.9%. Lin Chen turned to Darren with wide eyes. "How did you solve this when our entire team couldn't?" Darren smiled, thinking of Maya's block tower. Sometimes we need to look at problems through a child's eyes. As more tests confirmed the breakthrough, excitement filled the room. Board members huddled together, speaking in hushed tones. Elon finally approached Darren, a rare look of genuine surprise on his face. "You did this while sitting in a hospital room?" Darren nodded. "With help from the team, especially Aisha." "It's not just the efficiency improvement," Aisha added. "His design uses 18% fewer rare materials and simplifies the manufacturing process." Elon studied the test results. "This changes everything, not just for our current models, but for the entire product roadmap." The next day, Darren was asked to present his breakthrough to the entire engineering department. Standing at the front of the crowded room, he felt a sudden wave of imposter syndrome. Just 2 months ago, he'd been working a drive-through window. "Many of you know my story," he began nervously. "But what you might not know is that this battery design was inspired by my daughter's block tower in her hospital room." He showed a photo of Maya's creation beside his technical diagrams, explaining how her innocent play had sparked his insight. "I've learned that innovation can come from anywhere, even a child's game, and that sometimes our biggest challenges give us our biggest breakthroughs." As Darren explained the technical details, he saw the room's mood shift from skepticism to excitement. Engineers were scribbling notes, whispering to each other. By the time he finished, the atmosphere was electric. One older engineer raised his hand. You developed this while caring for your daughter in the hospital? Yes, Darren replied. I refused to choose between being there for her and doing my job, so I found a way to do both. The engineer nodded thoughtfully. Maybe we should all spend more time in children's hospitals. Laughter rippled through the room, but Darren sensed something deeper in the comment, a recognition that innovation thrived in unexpected environments. After the presentation, a board member approached Darren. We're implementing your design immediately. This will increase range across our entire fleet. Thank you. But it wasn't just me, Darren insisted. Aisha and the team took your lead. The board member interrupted. Don't minimize your achievement, young man. That evening, Elon called Darren into his office. I've been thinking about your process, the way you worked from the hospital with a team that came to you. It wasn't ideal. Darren admitted, actually, it was revolutionary. Elon paced the room energetically. What if we created a new innovation model based on your experience? Flexible work environments, cross-functional teams, gathered around real problems, fewer boundaries. You want to change Tesla's entire R&D approach based on my 2 weeks in a hospital room? Darren asked. I want to learn from it, Elon corrected. Great innovation rarely happens in boardrooms or on schedules. Before Darren could respond, Elon's assistant interrupted with breaking news. The Wall Street Journal had published a follow-up article about Darren's battery breakthrough, revealing it had been developed from his daughter's hospital room. The headline read, Tesla's hospital room innovation changes the EV game. Perfect timing, Elon said with satisfaction. Now about this new innovation model, I want you to help design it. In the weeks that followed, Darren's battery breakthrough went into production while his story spread throughout the tech industry. Other companies began questioning their own rigid workplace structures and dismissal policies. Maya continued to improve her treatments, working better than the doctors had expected. She became a regular visitor at Tesla, where engineers would show her their projects and ask what she thought. One afternoon, Aisha found Darren in the break room, staring at his phone with a shocked expression. What's wrong? She asked. My ex-wife called. She saw the articles. She wants to come back. His voice was flat. She says she made a mistake leaving us. What will you do? Aisha asked. Darren sighed. Maya needs stability, not confusion. I told her no. Aisha squeezed his shoulder supportively. The next week brought another surprise. Victor Chambers returned unexpectedly from Germany, demanding a meeting with the battery team. He claimed the new design had flaws that would eventually cause failures. In a tense engineering review, Victor presented simulations showing potential problems. This rushed design will damage Tesla's reputation, he insisted. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to Darren. 2 months ago, he would have shrunk from this confrontation, but he was different now. Calmly, he walked through Victor's simulations, pointing out the incorrect assumptions and manipulated parameters. These aren't honest concerns, he concluded. They're an attempt to discredit work you didn't do. Victor's face reddened. You have no right. I have every right, Darren interrupted. I earned my place here, twice. After Victor stormed out, several engineers congratulated Darren on standing his ground. But the confrontation left him uneasy. Victor wasn't the type to give up easily. Later that week, as Darren worked late in his office, he received an unexpected package. Inside was a framed photo of Maya's block tower beside the battery diagram it had inspired, along with a note from Elon that read, Sometimes the greatest insights come from the purest perspectives. This belongs on Tesla's wall of innovations. Darren placed the frame on his desk, feeling a warmth spread through him. His idea wasn't just being implemented, it was being celebrated. What he couldn't have known then was that Victor was already planning his revenge, and that when it came, it would threaten everything Darren had rebuilt. The company-wide presentation of the new battery technology was scheduled for Thursday morning. It was a big moment for Tesla and for Darren. Engineers from every division would attend, along with the board and key investors. Darren practiced his presentation with Maya the night before. She sat on their couch, giggling as he made exaggerated gestures to explain complex concepts. Daddy, you look silly, she said. I'm nervous, sweetie. A lot of important people will be watching tomorrow. Maya tilted her head. But you already know it works, right? You showed me the tests. Such simple wisdom. You're right, Darren smiled. I already know it works. The next morning, the presentation hall was packed. Darren spotted Aisha giving him a thumbs up from the front row. Elon stood at the back, phone in hand, but eyes focused on the stage. As Darren was about to begin, Victor Chambers entered the room and took a seat near the front. The sight of him made Darren's mouth go dry, but he forced himself to focus. This was his moment. The presentation went smoothly. Darren explained the technology clearly, acknowledging the team's contributions and Maya's inadvertent inspiration. The room responded with enthusiastic applause. Then came the Q&A session. Several engineers asked technical questions that Darren answered confidently. Elon nodded approvingly from the back. Just as the session was ending, Victor raised his hand. Lin Chen, who was moderating, hesitated before reluctantly calling on him. I have serious concerns about the long-term stability of this design, Victor said loudly. In fact, I've run extensive simulations showing potential catastrophic failures after approximately 800 charge cycles. Murmurs spread through the audience. Victor stood and walked toward the stage, holding a tablet. May I? He asked, reaching for the presentation controls. Before Darren could object, Victor connected his tablet and displayed complex simulation results on the screen. The data showed the battery design failing dramatically over time. These results directly contradict Mr. Reyes's claims, Victor continued smoothly. Either his testing was incompetent or he paused meaningfully. He's once again presenting manipulated data. The room fell silent. Darren stared at the simulation results, confusion washing over him. These numbers couldn't be right. His designs had been tested repeatedly. I don't understand these results, Darren admitted. Our testing showed. Perhaps you arranged for friendly testing, Victor suggested, given your special relationship with management. From the corner of his eye, Darren saw Elon move toward the front, but before Elon could intervene, Aisha stood up. Those simulations are using incorrect material parameters, she said firmly. I recognize the numbers. Therefore, they are from our old battery composition, not the new one. Victor's face reddened slightly. I used the parameters provided to me by... Aisha interrupted, because I personally ran the verification tests with the correct parameters, and our results showed no degradation issues. A tense silence filled the room. Darren could see investors whispering to each other nervously. Suddenly, Elon stepped onto the stage. I think we all need clarity on this, he said calmly. He turned to Victor. Would you mind if our systems team examines your tablet just to verify the parameters used in your simulation? Victor clutched his tablet tighter. That won't be necessary. I can explain. Actually, it is necessary, Elon insisted. Either your concerning results are valid, which is a serious issue we need to address, or they're not. Let's find out which. When Victor hesitated, Elon added, unless there's something on that tablet you don't want us to see. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Finally, with clear reluctance, Victor handed over his tablet to one of the IT staff Elon had summoned. It took only minutes for the truth to emerge. The IT specialist projected Victor's screen for all to see. These simulations were intentionally set up with incorrect parameters, he announced. The material specifications were deliberately altered to ensure failure. Gasps echoed through the room. Victor's face went pale. Furthermore, the specialist continued, I found email evidence showing that Mr. Chambers attempted to access Mr. Reyes's test results to alter them before today's presentation, but was blocked by our security protocols. All eyes turned to Victor, who was backing toward the door. Victor, Elon said quietly, I believe we need to continue this discussion in my office now. As Victor was escorted out, the room erupted in conversation. Darren stood frozen on stage, the enormity of what had just happened washing over him. Aisha joined him at the podium. You okay? I don't know, Darren replied honestly. I knew he disliked me, but he couldn't stand that you succeeded where he failed, she said. Some people can't bear to see others rise. As the audience slowly filed out, Darren noticed several board members approaching. Their expressions had changed from concern to respect. Mr. Reyes, said one, I believe we owe you an apology. The board member extended his hand to Darren. We should have investigated your dismissal more thoroughly 6 months ago. Thank you, sir, Darren replied, still processing everything that had just happened. No, thank you, the board member insisted. Your battery design will transform our entire product line. News of Victor's public disgrace spread through Tesla within hours. By afternoon, the story had leaked to tech blogs, complete with eyewitness accounts of the dramatic confrontation. Victor was officially terminated, this time with a detailed explanation shared company-wide. When Darren picked up Maya from school that day, she noticed something different about him. "You look happy, Daddy," she said as they walked to the car. "I am happy, sweetheart. Something good happened at work today." "Did you make another cool battery?" Darren smiled, lifting her into the car. "No, today was about something else. Sometimes the truth takes time to come out, but it usually does in the end." The next morning, Elon called Darren into his office. A journalist from CNN was there waiting to interview them both. "I didn't agree to this," Darren whispered to Elon. "Trust me," Elon replied. "Your story needs to be heard." The interview focused not just on Darren's technical achievements and Kel's, but on his journey from being unfairly fired to working at McDonald's to his chance meeting with Elon. When the journalist asked about Maya, Darren spoke with heartfelt emotion about balancing his daughter's needs with his professional responsibilities. "The most innovative solution I ever created came from my daughter playing with blocks in her hospital room," he explained. "That taught me that we need to rethink how and where good ideas can happen." The story aired nationally the following week, striking a chord with viewers across the country. Suddenly, Darren was receiving emails and messages from people sharing similar experiences of workplace injustice and career recovery. One message particularly touched him, from a woman who had been unfairly fired while battling breast cancer. "Your story gave me courage to fight back," she wrote. "Thank you for showing that second chances are possible." Elon, recognizing the powerful impact of Darren's experience, announced a new Tesla initiative, the Second Chance Innovation Program. It would provide opportunities for talented individuals who had faced career setbacks due to circumstances beyond their control. Talent doesn't disappear when someone hits a rough patch, Elon explained at the press conference. Sometimes that's exactly when the most creative thinking happens. Darren stood beside him at the podium, still amazed at how far he had come from that McDonald's drive-through window. Other companies began to take notice. Within months, similar programs appeared at major tech firms and manufacturers. Human resource departments across the country started reevaluating their dismissal policies and creating more flexible work arrangements for employees facing personal challenges. At Tesla, the new battery went into production, extending the range of their vehicles beyond competitors. Orders increased, and so did the company's stock price. The board, once skeptical of Elon's decision to rehire Darren, now cited it as one of the best personnel moves in company history. For Darren personally, life changed in both big and small ways. His salary allowed him to move into a better apartment closer to Maya's school. He established a college fund for her future, and he finally could afford the specialized treatments that weren't covered by insurance. 6 months after the confrontation with Victor, Darren received wonderful news. Maya's doctors declared her in remission. The cancer was gone. They would continue monitoring her closely, but the prognosis was excellent. That night, Darren and Maya celebrated with a special dinner. Aisha joined them, having become a close friend to both. As Maya chattered about her teacher and friends, Darren felt a contentment he hadn't known in years. "She looks so much better," Aisha whispered while Maya was distracted with dessert. "You've done an amazing job with her," Aisha added. "We've come a long way," Darren agreed. "Both of us." The following week, Elon called Darren to his office again. "I need you to review something," he said, handing him a press release draft. The headline read, "Tesla announces new innovation center for flexible engineering teams." "What's this?" Darren asked, scanning the document. "The next step," Elon explained. "We're creating a new division based on your hospital room approach. Engineers will have more freedom to work remotely in diverse teams with flexible hours. We're calling it the Maya model of innovation." Darren looked up, stunned. "You're naming it after my daughter?" "With your permission," Elon replied. "She deserves credit for inspiring the approach." That evening, Darren told Maya about the new program named in her honor. She giggled, not fully understanding the significance, but delighted that people thought her block tower was so important. "Can I make more towers for your work?" she asked. "Anytime, sweetie. Your ideas are always welcome." As he tucked her into bed, Darren reflected on their journey. From the desperate days after his firing to the depths of Maya's illness to the McDonald's drive-thru where everything changed. Each step had been painful, yet necessary to reach this point. A year ago, he couldn't have imagined this life. Now, he couldn't imagine any other. The ripple effects of his second chance continued to spread outward, touching lives he would never know, inspiring changes in companies he would never see. All because one day, Elon Musk had decided to stop for a burger and notice the person behind the window. As he kissed Maya goodnight, Darren knew that the greatest breakthrough wasn't the battery design or the innovation model. It was the simple truth that everyone deserves to be seen, to be valued, and sometimes to get a second chance. 6 months after the launch of the Maya model, Tesla held a special ceremony to mark the opening of the new Innovation Center. The modern building was designed with flexible workspaces, family-friendly areas, and even a children's play corner filled with building blocks. Darren stood beside Elon on the stage as they prepared to cut the ribbon. Maya was there too, wearing a special Tesla lab coat made just for her. Her health was fully restored, and her eyes were bright with excitement. "Before we open this center," Elon said to the gathered crowd, "I want to share something I've never told publicly before." Darren looked at him curiously. This wasn't part of the planned program. "Many people think Darren's story began when I happened to stop at McDonald's that day," Elon continued. "The truth is more complicated and more personal." The audience fell silent, sensing something important was coming. 2 years ago, I was fired from a tech startup I believed in," Elon said quietly. "It wasn't because I lacked skills or commitment. It was office politics. Someone threatened by my ideas who had the ear of the CEO. Darren stared at Elon, surprised by this revelation. "At the same time, my younger brother was seriously ill," Elon continued. "I was broke, devastated, and responsible for helping with his medical bills. I felt like I'd failed at everything that mattered." The crowd was completely silent now, captivated by this unexpected glimpse into Elon's past. "What saved me was a mentor who looked beyond my firing, who saw potential where others saw failure, who gave me a second chance when I needed it most." Elon's voice grew more emotional than Darren had ever heard it. That second chance changed everything, not just for me, but eventually for thousands of employees and millions of customers. Elon turned to face Darren directly. "I didn't just happen to stop at that McDonald's. I knew you were working there." "What?" Darren whispered, confused. "After Victor submitted his resignation, HR flagged some disturbing patterns in his management history," Elon explained. "Your case stood out. I asked for your file, saw the injustice, and had someone track where you'd gone." Elon smiled slightly. "I needed that burger like I needed a hole in my head. But I needed to see for myself what kind of man you were," murmurs spread through the audience as people processed this revelation. "You planned it?" Darren asked, stunned. "I planned to observe you. What happened next was up to you." Elon gestured to the notebook Darren still carried everywhere. "When I saw those designs on McDonald's napkins, I knew you were still an engineer at heart, just like I was still an entrepreneur, even when everything fell apart." Maya tugged on Darren's hand. "What's he saying, Daddy?" Darren knelt beside her. "He's saying he found me on purpose, sweetheart. It wasn't just luck." Elon continued addressing the crowd. "The Maya model isn't just about flexible work environments. It's about recognizing that talent doesn't disappear in hard times. Sometimes that's exactly when it shines brightest. It's about understanding that the most valuable resource in any company is its people and their potential." He placed a hand on Darren's shoulder. "Some will call what I did unusual or inappropriate. Maybe it was, but I believe if more companies looked for the brilliance in those who've stumbled, if more leaders extended the same kind of chance that was once extended to me, our innovation landscape would be transformed." Tears prickled at Darren's eyes as the missing pieces fell into place. Elon hadn't just been a good person making a kind gesture. He'd been repaying a debt from his own past, completing a circle that had begun decades before. "I never told you this," Elon said, turning back to Darren, "because I wanted you to believe in yourself, not feel like a charity case. You earned everything you've achieved here. I just opened a door that should never have been closed." As they cut the ribbon together with Maya helping between them, Darren felt a profound sense of understanding. This wasn't just his story or even Elon's story. It was about the unseen connections that bind us, how one person's second chance could echo across years and lives to create more chances for others later. As Maya played happily in the new building's block corner, creating towers that might someday inspire more innovations, Darren approached Elon privately. "Thank you for telling me the truth," he said, "though I'm still trying to process it." Elon smiled. "The world sees me as someone who makes big decisions based on data and strategy, and usually that's true." He looked over at Maya, constructing an intricate pattern with the blocks. "But sometimes the most important decisions come from a more personal place. Your brother, is he healthy and well, thanks to that second chance I got?" Elon's eyes held Darren's. "Just like Maya is because of yours." As they watched Maya play, surrounded by engineers already adopting her creative approach to building, Darren understood the final piece of the story. Sometimes what looks like an ending, being fired, working at McDonald's, is actually the setup for a new beginning. Sometimes what seems like lucky timing is actually the result of someone seeing your worth when you've forgotten it yourself. And sometimes the most inspiring actions happen not on stages or in headlines, but in quiet moments of recognition between people who understand that everyone deserves the chance to become who they're meant to be. The story that had begun at a drive-through window had become something much larger, a reminder that behind every success, there's often an unseen hand, a moment of faith, and the power of a second chance. Thanks for watching The Second Chance, a story of recognition and redemption. I hope this tale of Darren and Elon touched your heart today. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. I'd love to know which corner of the world this story reached. If this message of second chances and recognizing hidden potential resonated with you, please hit that like button to help spread a little kindness today. Every like helps more people discover this story. And if you enjoyed this video, click on the one appearing on your screen right now for another inspiring tale that might just brighten your day. Until next time, remember that sometimes the greatest potential is found in the most unexpected places.